Our thesis was simple. Although an urban downswing occurred in the 3rd century due to the decline of the Han and Roman empires, most cities in Big Area 4 developed and served as centers of religion, government, and agriculture.
Though they often quarreled, Greeks and Persians had more in common than they realized. Greece is near the Mediterranean Sea. Greek farmers depended on rainfall to water their crops. The limited arable land, thin topsoil, and scarce rainfall in the south could not sustain large populations. Sheep and goats grazed in the hills during the growing season. In northern Greece, where the rainfall is greater and the land opens out into broad plains, cattle and horses were more abundant. In the first millennium BCE in Persia, irrigation enabled people to move down from the mountain valleys and open plains to agriculture. The Persian rulers are called Achaemenids because they trace their lineage back to an ancestor named Achaemenes. Kurush, founder of the Achaemenid Persian Empire between 550 and 530 BCE, conquered Media, Lydia, and Babylon. The Greek polis, usually translated to city-state, consisted of an urban center and rural territory it controlled. City-states came in various sizes, with populations as small as several thousand or as large as several hundred thousand in the case of Athens. The Persians were sensitive to the beauties of nature and valued altruistic elements. Zoroastrianism emphasized the battle between good and evil, which can be related to God and the devil, heaven and hell, and reward and punishment. It traveled across Western Asia, and with the advance of the Persian Empire, it may have exerted a major influence on Judaism, and thus on Christianity. Greek religion encompassed a wide range of cults and beliefs. The ancestors of Greeks brought a collection of anthropomorphic sky gods with them when they entered the Greek peninsula at the end of the 3rd millennium BCE. Male gods predominated, but several female deities had important roles. Sacrifice, which was the central ritual of Greek religion, was performed at altars in front of temples that the Greeks built to be the gods' places of residence.
Thousands of miles separated Rome and Han China, and neither influenced the other, but their power flourished simultaneously, and both had very similar ideologies. They arose from very small states that ultimately unified, and was ruled under strong central governments. Rome's central location contributed to its success in unifying Italy and all the lands ringing the Mediterranean Sea. Italy is a land of hills and mountains. The mild Mediterranean climate affords a long growing season and conditions suitable for a wide variety of crops. The hillsides, which were well forested in ancient times, provided timber for construction and fuel. The Roman Empire encompassed all the land surrounding the Mediterranean Sea. According to tradition, there were 7 kings of Rome between 753 and 507 BCE. The first was Romulus, and the last was the tyrannical Tarquinius Superbus. The Republic, which lasted from 507 to 31 BCE, was not a democracy in a modern sense. Sovereign power resided in an assembly of male citizens, where the votes of the wealthy classes counted for more than the votes of the poor citizens. The Han Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the oasis of Central Asia. From the mid-3rd century BCE, Qin began to conquer and incorporate the other Chinese states, and by 221 BCE, he had unified all northern and central China in the First Chinese Empire, also known as the Han Dynasty. During this time, Christianity rose. Over the next half-century, Roman governors, insensitive to the Jewish belief in one God, provoked opposition to Roman rule. Many waited for the arrival of the Messiah, also known as the Anointed One. They thought he was to be a military leader who would drive out the Romans and liberate the Jewish people. The Han period was rich in intellectual developments, the growth of urban centers, and state support of scholars. In their leisure time, scholar officials read and wrote in a range of genres, including poetry and philosophy. Chinese religion encompassed a wide spectrum of beliefs. Like the early Romans, the Chinese believed that divinity resided within nature. Most people believed in ghosts and spirits. The state maintained shrines of the lords of rain, wind, and soil, as well as certain great rivers and high mountains.
Agriculture, religion, and government. Each of these 3 topics played a key role in cities throughout regions such as China, Iran, Greece, Rome, India, Southeast Asia, the Silk Road, and various trade routes. Indian agriculture allowed 3 harvests per year, made their staple foods wheat, barley, and millet. Although there was little precipitation, they developed complex irrigation systems for crops. Religion in India. The most prominent religions in this region are the Vedic religion, which evolved into Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism. Indian government made multiple shifts throughout each period. In the Harappan period, each city had a king and possibly some cities had queens. The social system had been formed by the Harappan period. Southeast Asian agriculture used most fertile lands along the floodplains or rivers which contained rich volcanic soil. They began Sweden agriculture around 2000 BC and spread plants and animals such as coconuts, rice, pigs, and chickens. Rice became their staple food, as it required intense labor but produced large amounts at a time. Networks of communication and exchange, agriculture. People carried agricultural goods and manufactured products. The practices and goods people traded could affect societies. Around shorelines, agriculture revolved around fishing, while inland remained focused on sedentary agriculture. Government often played a role in defining community, identity, and political alignments. Cities could be run by relatives of the king or noblemen who would report back to him. Long-lasting political fragmentation was not able to develop in these regions, and they tended to remain unified. Often, kings or emperors who just conquered new territories ventured out further for new, rare, and useful goods. When becoming a merchant or trader, you could become isolated by law and lose or be unable to gain political power. Religion. Ways and routes such as the Silk Road became places for transfer of religions, beliefs, and practices, and often permeated most aspects of daily life. As faiths such as Christianity and Zoroastrianism became official faiths, religion and politics began to further merge in many regions. Manichaeism also arose in this period. This religion preaches of a struggle between good and evil, but was threatened by Zoroastrianism. Although Mani, the founder, and many of his followers were martyred, the religion quickly expanded.
To sum it up, all of the discussed civilizations are different in their own way, but they have common factors such as similar ideologies, royal uprisings, belief systems, and social classes, which overall define them as classical civilizations.